Hi there, welcome to TDCatTech. Today I'm looking at this. This is the Reolink E1 Zoom. It's an indoor CCTV camera, I guess. It's a really nice camera, this one. And, you know, in summary, if that's all you want to take away from this review, then so be it. But what I want to do today is just go through the pros and cons. I'm not going to do any kind of unboxing. What you get in the box is the camera and a power supply and a couple of brackets to fit it to the wall, screws, and that's about it. Oh, some stickers as well. But I'm not going to do you any kind of unboxing. I'm not going to look through the software. I'm just going to talk to you about the pros and cons and show you bits as I go along. This has equal or superior image quality to any camera of this type that I've tested. In most cases, probably superior image quality. The image quality is great. It's a 5 megapixel sensor on here, so it gives a resolution of 2560 by 1920, I think it is. Bit of an odd one, 4:3 aspect ratio, I think. And so it's not your kind of usual kind of more kind of widescreen look. It's a little bit taller than that, like a lot of computer monitors used to be and TVs used to be. So you can see here that the movement causes the image to break up a fair amount. It's at a pretty low bit rate of only 1024 kilobits per second, which isn't much for this resolution of 2560 by 1920. So yeah, the picture's breaking up a bit. Still clear, still sharp, but does break up with the motion. Now switching to the higher bit rate here at 4096, massive difference on the motion. Colors are still great though, absolutely spot on. But just the motions improve, so the kind of image retains its clarity even with motion. This is 15 frames per second. Taking a look at this night shot, there's no movement in this one, but this is an upscaled picture. I've upscaled it, otherwise it's tiny on the screen, of 640 by 480 night view, so it's really good quality. And this is a high bitrate version and high resolution version of the same thing. Again, you know, the low quality one comes out really well, surprisingly well. This is a genuine IP camera. What I mean by that is it supports ONVIF, it has RTSP support, you can connect this to a completely unrelated third-party DVR, NVR, and you know you can bring in the information from this camera and connect it to that. Which to me, a lot of cameras of this type have that totally locked down. You have to have a login to their system to add your camera, and you can only operate it in that way. It's not dependent on a Reolink login. You don't have to have a login when you set this up on their app. You can just download their app and you can just add the camera. Easy as that. Of course, you need a login for things like cloud, but for the general use of the camera, you don't need a login at all. I put it's a clean, minimal design. Well, what do you think? I think it is. It's nice, isn't it? Nice and simple. Yeah, nice. Good build quality too. Feels fairly sturdy. Most of the weight is at the top here. I think most of the hardware is in this bit. This bottom bit's a little bit lightweight, but yeah, it's sturdy design, and it feels nice and solid. It just looks really nice, doesn't it? The hardware seems to be capable. Doesn't get really hot. I've had cameras like this in the past. You ask it to do anything, you know, as soon as you start recording on that camera or something, it just kind of, the whole base gets burning hot, really hot. This just sort of sits there lukewarm, happily does its thing. So it suggests the hardware in here is capable of doing what it needs to do, and that stands up in when you're using it too. It doesn't kind of hang around, it doesn't mess about, it just kind of does what you ask it to do, which is what you need, isn't it? And this has an optical zoom. Amazing. 3 times optical zoom. Now don't get me wrong, we're not talking about the kind of optical zoom like you would have on a CCTV camera where you're turning the button and zooming in miles away on this like individual to read what he's got on his newspaper or something like that. That's not what this is for, and it doesn't work very well for that. This Optical zoom allows you to create the composition you want, so you don't have to have the camera in exactly the right place, because you can kind of zoom and create the, get the detail you need of a particular area. Say you can only put it in the corner of a room, well, it doesn't really matter, because you can zoom in just a bit and just get that composition that you want. So for that, it's amazing. It's the first one I've ever used of these that actually has a true optical zoom. It's a bit messy to use, sure. Focus isn't that quick and all that sort of stuff, but it has it, and it is well worth it. The speaker on here, which is on the back, is great quality. So when you talk through the camera, the speaker's really, really good quality. Got a lot of sort of bass to it and sounds better than a lot of the tinny ones I have heard in the past. What else we got? Software, and I cannot stress this enough. The key difference with Reolink is their software. The app is clean, understandable, it's not full of spelling errors. They have software for Mac, they have software for Windows. You can use web-based, it's still Flash-based, of course, which puts web-based stuff kind of a bit out of the picture at this stage in 2020, because it's just going to be completely defunct by the end of this year. But still, they have the software, it's nice to use, it's fully functional, and I mean, just to have an app with these type of cameras, that is totally as you would expect an app to look on iOS or on on a phone in general. Is just wonderful to see. So thank you guys for having the best software I have seen on a camera of this type. Now again, I say I haven't used the sort of Google Nest and things, so I'm sure their software experience is like super slick and what have you, but the Reolink is great. So buy it for that reason alone. And I'm not doing a sales pitch here, because I'm going to tell you bad stuff in a minute. Not quite as much bad stuff as there is good stuff, but I'm still going to talk about the bad stuff. 3D DNR. 3D, and I think DNR stands for digital noise reduction in this case. It's an option in the software. You enable it, and it does pretty much what it says. It just, I don't know what the 3D bit's for, but it reduces the noise on the image. And I thought, is this a gimmick? Is this going to make it look all smeary? It's just noise reduction going to make a mess of the image? No, this is well worth using. If you look at a nighttime image on a lot of cameras, you constantly get a kind of flutter of pixels around the image, as just the sensors are creating a lot of noise, even though it has got the infrared stuff going. With this, with the noise reduction, it reduces all that, making for one, a clearer image, two, it makes better use of the bits, because if you have a maximum bit rate and a compressed image, that noise creates a worse image because there's a lot more stuff changing in the image. So the noise reduction does a great job of cleaning it up, well worth using. And they have a free cloud option as well. Reolink Cloud allows you to use one camera for free, so you can try it out, get a sense of how it works for you, and that to me is just vital, because I hate these things where you've got to sign up for at least kind of a month or something like that. And I mean, admittedly, it probably is only like about $4.99 or $3.99. But to be able to have one camera connected up, just see how it works for you, even with just 1 gig of storage, nice to have that option. So there we go. What a bunch of good. How many minutes am I in already? Well, hopefully you took something good from that, because I do really like this camera, as you can probably tell. So let's move on to the cons now. What is bad about this camera? There's no Ethernet port. Come on. I mean, there are times when I do have wired options available. So where one of the places where I want to have one of these cameras, I have an Ethernet cable just sat there waiting to be used. And it would be so nice to be able to just whack that in the back and just have it on Ethernet, because it is at the furthest point of the house. Wi-Fi is a bit of a problem. And yeah, I just want the option to have them over Ethernet if I choose. Not everyone. I think most people won't care about that, because most people will buy these because they're Wi-Fi cameras. But yeah, it has no Ethernet port. Secondly, they are a little bit more expensive than budget cameras. The E1 Zooms are about £50 or £60 each, these cameras. So if you're getting a set for your house, maybe 3 or 4 cameras, it's not going to be amazingly cheap, but, well, get what you pay for, maybe. But yeah, if you're on a budget, that could be a problem for you. The app itself is so battery intensive. It's untrue. I'll put something up on the screen here. You can see the battery usage. Now, of course, I was messing around with the app during this. I was setting up the cameras. I was playing around with different functions, you know, before I did this review. And but seriously, while you're using the app, you don't have to have been using it for long. The back of your phone, on an iPhone at least, gets hot. I'm using an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and it gets hot at the back, and the battery usage is immense. So you don't want to be sat on that app for a long period of time staring at the cameras because your phone battery will be flat. There's very little vertical motion in these. So where this here moves up and down, it's not enough. The vertical motion is not enough for me. A lot of the time, I will want to put this on top of a wardrobe and have it looking down, and I'm finding I'm having to pile books up like this to kind of get it to tilt down enough. It just doesn't go. There just isn't enough vertical motion. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, for my uses anyway. You can, of course, mount them to the ceiling, and I think that's what they expect people to do, and the vertical motion, therefore, that way is a little bit greater. So there are, again, options for that. But for me, it doesn't work that well with so little vertical motion. Other cameras I have go right to the top here, right to the top, and further down that way. The power is 5 volts, but it's supplied through this little thing here. Completely non-standard. 5 volt. Couldn't you just done it with USB, like a USB-C or a micro USB or something? Because 5 volts through a bespoke, I mean, it's not bespoke, okay, that is a standard power connector, but I haven't got those sitting around. I've got millions of USB cables sat around. And yeah, that's a bit of a shame, because I would have liked 5 volts to be delivered through USB to just give me options to connect it to different stuff more easily. Even things like power banks, really, you could probably connect this to if you really needed to. Not a big deal. And the fact that the power supply has like a 2.5/3 meter cable on it is excellent. It is so good that it's got a really long cable on it, because that really opens up your options of where you put it. Okay, I'm trying to get through these as quick as I can. Yeah, I spoke before about the focus, and yeah, it's not very accurate. You can't, when you zoom in, it then messes around with the focus, and if it's dark, it doesn't quite get it right, and sometimes you have to manually set it. The way the focusing system works on this just isn't that good. But it doesn't matter, because once you figure out where the focus needs to be, you can manually adjust it in the app. In fact, you can disable autofocus entirely, but only on the Windows desktop software. Strange, we still have some split of things you can do via the app versus the Mac software versus the Windows software. A bit strange. But yeah, it's not brilliant, the focus on this at all. And finally, the two biggies for me personally, living in the UK at this time, is that Reolink Cloud, for reasons of GDPR, and the company haven't got that sorted yet. The guys, I wrote to them about this specifically and asked them why Reolink Cloud is not available in the EU, and in my case, the UK. And they are trying to get that sorted, and I have no doubt that they will get that sorted, because that is essential for people who are buying these kind of cameras. You want the footage to be able to be pushed to the cloud, and there is no service for Reolink Cloud currently available in the EU. Finally, there is no option to schedule cloud service uploads. So what I mean by that is that when I was testing the cloud service, and there are ways to test it, you cannot say, I don't want to upload the cloud service as of 7 in the morning, because I had one of these in the living room, and at 7 in the morning, the boys came downstairs and were doing stuff in there, and all I've got for about an hour is just a ton of footage being constantly uploaded to the cloud, meaningless footage of them just messing around, because of course motion detection is activated. You can schedule motion detection, and I tried to schedule in a downtime on motion detection to say, you know, minimum sensitivity between this hour and this hour, but even minimum sensitivity isn't enough to not see the boys when they're running around in that particular room. And that'll be the truth for many houses. You know, if you're using this as an indoor camera, those rooms are going to be used, and there will be times when you do not want to be uploading every single bit of activity to the cloud at certain points of the day. So there's no option to schedule that at the moment. So Reolink, please get that added. That's a software thing. I have absolute no problem in saying that you will be able to do that because yeah, it's not, surely that's not something that has to be done in the hardware. I wouldn't have thought so. Anyway, overall, I am really impressed with this camera. The image quality is good, the software is reliable, it's easy to use, really easy to add. They're just, honestly, they're really nice cameras. A little bit more expensive than your average IP camera, but a really great solution. If you have any questions about the product, let me know. I've been messing with it for the last couple of days now. I can probably answer them for you. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.